Up with KREM begins now.
Here we go, 6 o'clock here on your Monday morning. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Nicole Hernandez. We want to start off with meteorologist Thomas Patrick. He is back in our weather center this morning.
Welcome back.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Thomas. How are things looking?
Yeah, it looks like for this week, a fairly quiet week of weather, which I know is completely different from last week where we totaled about 8 inches of snow. A couple days of some snow squalls as well. Obviously, really intense weather as winter gave us a couple blasts. This week, much quieter. If anything, it's actually just a couple light sprinkles. You can see a little bit of activity on Doppler radar just on the west side of town and over 4th of July pass as well. That's really the most of what I'm tracking today with any rainfall, which, by the way, it's rain and not snow because our temperatures are nearly 40 degrees right now. In fact, it is 40 in Spokane, 41 in Coeur d'Alene, and 39 in the Valley.
Taking a live look at traffic now at I-90 and Sullivan, where you can see things seem to be moving smoothly at the moment. We're really not seeing any major traffic or backups on our roads right now. So if you're heading out the door, things are looking smooth. We'll keep you updated on weather and traffic here on Up with KREM. Well, it has now been about 3 weeks since a man fired shots inside of the Shoshone County Sheriff's Office. It is going to reopen this morning.
KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones live in Wallace this morning for us. Brandon, we know this is an incident that really shook the Wallace community. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tim, Nicole. This next step, though, is a step towards rehealing here in Wallace. You can see right here behind me at the sheriff's office, still some yellow tape up there as things have been closed off for those last nearly 3 weeks at this particular point. But again, the county sheriff's office, they posted on their Facebook last night saying they will start to reopen. The driver's license office inside of the building will reopen at 9 a.m. this morning. And as they take this next step, the lobby will only be available at a limited capacity. So back on December 26th, 3 people were injured in that shooting here at the office. 2 were civilians sitting in a truck outside of the building. They were shot in the leg. The third was injured was an officer struck in the ear. The suspect, 77-year-old John Drake, was shot and killed by officers in the lobby. So while this investigation continues, a red phone will be positioned outside, and officials are asking that you pick up that phone and let dispatch know why you're here. The office says 1 person at a time will be buzzed in to do their transaction with the driver's license department, and officials say this process is the only option to provide licensed services to the public until the next phase of construction to the sheriff's office lobby, dispatch, and building continues to take place. They also say they anticipate closures in the future, but will continue to update the public on dates and times that you could potentially see some of those impacts. But for now, reporting live here in Wallace, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Starting today, Providence hospitals in the inland Northwest are implementing new visitor restrictions. It comes because of a rise in respiratory illnesses in our area. Visitation hours are now limited from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and inpatients can only have up to 2 visitors at once. Visitors under 18 will also not be allowed in certain areas of the hospitals. This policy change impacts Providence hospitals and clinics in Spokane and Stevens counties, including Sacred Heart. You can find more department-specific guidelines on our website, krem.com. Meantime, flu cases across the country also continue to climb. According to the CDC, there have been more than 15 million cases this season. The CDC says children under the age of 2 are at a particularly high risk of developing serious complications because of the flu. However, some children are not eligible for the flu vaccine because it's recommended for those 6 months and older. Roughly 180,000 people have been hospitalized and 7,400 have died. Most of the cases are from a severe strain of influenza known as subclade K.
This subclade K, which is a new strain that probably is not included in the current vaccine.
The CDC estimates 130 million doses of the vaccine have been distributed nationwide this season, but that covers less than 40% of the U.S. population. A health alert this morning coming from Western Washington after 3 reported measles cases in King and Snohomish counties.
So the cases are from a family visiting from South Carolina. 1 adult and 2 kids had measles while they were here between December 28th and January 1st. The 2 kids had not been vaccinated. The family says they went to several places in Marysville, Mukilteo, and Everett while contagious. They also traveled through SeaTac and the car rental facility.
This was the scene from Spokane's Ice Out for Good protest over the weekend. Protesters took to the street on Saturday, lining Division, holding signs and calling for change.
And this was out in Sandpoint. Our news partners at the Bonner County Daily Bee say hundreds of people were there protesting against ICE. Organizers say they counted more than 200 people. And that's just a few of the hundreds of protests that happened over the weekend.
The protests are in response to the deadly shooting in Minnesota involving ICE agents. This was the scene in Portland where on Thursday, in a separate incident, federal agents shot 2 people during a traffic stop. The Department of Homeland Security believes the man and woman are affiliated with a Venezuelan transnational gang. Protesters say the recent shootings are raising safety concerns.
It really hits home. And you realize how you're not safe.
A DHS spokesperson.
All right, well, moving on now to something local here. A Spokane couple pleaded guilty to stealing more than $100,000 from an elderly woman in 2022. Mark Tyrese Straw used to own LifeStage, a company that helps advise elderly people. 85-year-old Pat Hawley's late husband paid for their help. The Straws would make sure bills were paid for, took her to the doctor's appointments, and even bought groceries. But the couple started to take Holly's money. An audit found they had stolen $145,000.
I hope that they can never work with the elderly again for the rest of their lives. They don't deserve to. They will take advantage of people if they do again. And I want Pat to get her $145,000 back.
There is a civil trial to try to make them return Holly's money on April 18th.
An update for you this morning after an explosion at a restaurant in North Spokane. Fire crews say the fire started Friday morning at the old El Ranchito in the 9 Mile area. It was undergoing renovations. Workers heard popping noises and evacuated. No one was hurt, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. New this morning, search crews have found the bodies of 2 people killed in an avalanche in the East Central Cascades on Friday. The Kittitas County Sheriff's Office says a group of 4 skiers touring in the backcountry got caught in this slide near Longs Pass. 2 of them were completely buried. They were identified as 38-year-old Paul Markoff from North Bend and 43-year-old Eric Henney from Snoqualmie Pass. The 2 others survived. They were able to get a distress signal out using a Garmin satellite device.
A little bit of good news this morning. Crews finished up their work on US 2 between Stevens Pass and Coles Corner. The road was partially open for a few weeks with a pilot car, but now both lanes are fully open 24 hours a day. There is still a 4-mile stretch where eastbound lanes are down to 1 lane. It's between Coles Corner and basically Leavenworth. Crews say it will likely stay that way until spring. Remember, severe flooding damaged parts of the highway, and crews started fixing all of this back on December 18th. They are also still working on US 2 in Tumwater Canyon. They're not sure when this spot will be able to reopen.
Time is 6:08 as we look at our weather forecast today. It's going to be mild to start this week. It is actually quite warm this morning with current temperatures around 40 degrees. So if you're noticing a lot of that snow and slush melting, that is why temperatures are turning over. So if we're 40 to start the day, we'll be in the mid-40s to finish this afternoon. Any light rainfall or sprinkles this morning should be contained to mostly the morning hours. And after that, we got a pretty dry forecast from here. So coming up, I'll show you how many days will be this warmer, almost close to 50 degrees.
Some exciting news to pass along to you this morning. We want to let you know that our KREM 2 News family is growing. We are welcoming a new team member tonight, our new evening anchor. Here's a hint. She's from our area and is excited to be back home. So be sure to join us tonight as we welcome KREM 2's new evening anchor on KREM 2 News at 6 p.m. tonight.
New this morning, we now know one of the singers who will be performing at this year's North Idaho State Fair. It's country star Lee Brice. The fair will be from August 21st to the 30th. Lee Brice will be performing on Monday, August 24th in the Party in the Dirt concert series. It's at the Finley Arena. Tickets go on sale Friday morning at 9. And the annual Skyfest at Fairchild Air Force Base will be back in June. Skyfest 2026 will be June 6th and 7th. As always, there will be a bunch of different aerial acts. Fairchild is going to announce what those will be in the next few weeks. We have more information on our website, KREM.com.